we're diving into one of the most essential elements of gardening: soil. Specifically, we'll talk about how different soil types are formed, how to recognise them in your garden, and how they impact your plants throughout the year. So let's dig in to the secret life of soil. To truly understand how soil affects your plants, we first need to understand how it's formed. Soil isn't just dirt. It's the product of thousands, even millions of years of weathering, erosion, and organic decay. Over time, rocks break down into smaller and smaller particles through a combination of physical, chemical, and biological processes. These are the physical weathering, where rocks are worn down by forces like wind, rain, ice, and temperature changes. For example, when water seeps into cracks in rocks and freezes, it expands and splits the rock apart. Chemical weathering. This involves the breakdown of rocks through chemical reactions, such as when rainwater mixes with CO2 in the atmosphere to form a weak acid that can dissolve certain types of rock. And biological weathering, where plants, fungi, and microorganisms play a crucial role. Roots grow into cracks, breaking rocks apart, where microbes produce acids that help dissolve minerals. These rock particles mix with organic matter, dead plants and animals, to create what we know as soil. But this process is slow. In fact, it can take hundreds of years to form just 1 inch of topsoil. There are 5 main factors that determine the type of soil that forms in a given location. These factors are like nature's recipe, shaping soil into various forms. They include 1. Parent material. The type of rock that originally broke down to form the soil. For example, limestone creates alkaline soil, while granite results in acid soils. 2. Climate. Temperature and precipitation affect how quickly rocks break down. In humid, warm climates, chemical weathering occurs rapidly, while in cold, dry areas, the process is much slower. 3. Topography. The shape of the land determines how water moves over and through the soil. On slopes, soil can erode quickly, while in valleys, soil tends to accumulate and can be deeper and richer. 4. Organisms. Plants, animals, and microbes are crucial. They help mix organic matter into the soil, recycle nutrients, and even break down rock. And 5. Time. The older the soil, the more developed it becomes. Over time, soil tends to become more complex, richer in nutrients, and better structured for plant growth. These factors work together to form the soil under your feet, and no 2 patches of soil are exactly the same because of the unique combination of these forces. Now that we've explored how soils are formed, let's talk about how to recognise what kind of soil you have in your garden. Soil is generally classified into 3 main types: clay, sandy, and loamy. But most soils are a blend of these, so it's important to know how to test and identify them. Clay soil. If your soil is sticky and clumps together when wet, it's likely clay. Clay soils are made up of very fine particles that pack tightly together, which make them excellent at holding onto water and nutrients. However, they tend to drain slowly and can become waterlogged in wet conditions. Clay particles are less than 0.002 millimeters in diameter. These particles are so fine that they stick together tightly. Clay consists primarily of silicate materials and often includes aluminium oxides. The chemical weathering of larger minerals produces these fine particles. To test for clay, take a handful of moist soil and roll it into a ball. If it holds its shape and feels smooth, you've got clay. Sandy soil. Sandy soils feel gritty and drain quickly. If water runs right through your soil, it's hard to keep it moist, then it's probably sandy. Sand particles are the largest of the soil particles, ranging from 0.05 to 2 millimeters in diameter. They are large enough to be visible to the naked eye and feel gritty when touched. Sand is primarily composed of silica, or silicon dioxide, often in the form of quartz. Depending on the region, sand may also contain particles of other minerals like feldspar, gypsum or calcium carbonate. Sand offers good aeration for roots but holds fewer nutrients due to its low cation exchange capacity, or CEC, meaning it doesn't attract and hold on to nutrients, as well as smaller particles like clay. You can test sandy soil by squeezing a moist handful. If it falls apart easily and feels rough, it's mostly sand. Sandy soils warm up quickly in spring, but can dry out in summer. Silty soil. Silt particles are between 0.002 and 0.05 millimeters in diameter. They are finer than sand, but larger than clay particles. Silty particles are often composed of quartz and other minerals that have been broken down through erosion. Silt feels smooth or floury when dry and slippery when wet. It retains moisture better than sand, but does not drain as quickly. However, it can compact easily, reducing air spaces between particles and potentially causing waterlogging if overcompacted. Loamy soil. Well, if you've got loamy soil, it's often called the gardener's gold because it's a perfect mix of clay, silt and sand. It's rich, crumbly and holds moisture while still draining well. If your soil feels soft, holds its shape when squeezed but crumbles easily, then you've got loamy soil. Soils are generally a mixture of types, but for the purposes of choosing plants best suited to your soil, here are the official definitions of the major soil types. First, the definition of sandy soil. The definition is soil with a high proportion of sand particles, more than 85% sand by weight, and minimal amounts of silt and clay. The characteristics: sandy soil is gritty to the touch, drains quickly, and doesn't retain nutrients or moisture very well. It has large particles and wide air spaces between them, which makes it easier for roots to penetrate, but harder to maintain fertility. Number 2, the definition of silty soil. The definition: soil with a predominance of silt particles, more than 80% silt by weight. And the characteristics: silty soil feels smooth and floury when dry and soft and soapy when wet. It holds water better than sandy soil, but can compact easily, reducing aeration and drainage. It's fertile, but may require attention to structure. Third, the definition of clay soil. Soil with a high proportion of clay particles, at least 40% clay by weight. And the characteristics: clay soil has very fine particles and feels sticky when wet. It retains water and nutrients but drains poorly, making it prone to waterlogging. When dry, it can become hard and compacted, limiting root growth. 4. The definition of loamy soil is soil that contains a balanced mixture of sand, silt and clay, usually around 40% sand, 40% silt and 20% clay. The characteristics: loam is often considered the ideal soil type for gardening and farming. It has a good structure, is fertile, retains moisture and nutrients while allowing for proper drainage and aeration. Loam also supports healthy root development. 5 is peaty soil, which is defined as soil rich in organic matter, primarily partially decomposed plant material or peat. The characteristics: peaty soil is dark, rich and spongy with high water retention capacity. It is acidic and often lacks key nutrients, but can be improved by adding lime and fertilizers. Peaty soil is common in wetlands or boggy areas. Number 6 is chalky soil, and the definition is soil that contains a significant amount of calcium carbonate or lime, often derived from underlying chalk or limestone rock. The characteristics of chalky soil is it's alkaline and can be stony. It tends to drain quickly and may lack nutrients such as iron and magnesium, which can lead to nutrient deficiencies in plants. The high pH level limits the type of plants that can grow well in this type of soil. Number 7 is a saline soil, and this is defined as soil with high concentrations of soluble salts, often found in arid or semi-arid regions. The characteristics of this type of soil is saline soil can harm plant growth due to its salt content, which affects the plant's ability to absorb water. This type of soil typically requires reclamation methods such as leaching salts out of the root zone and adding organic matter to improve structure and reduce salinity. And finally, number 8, calcareous soil. The definition of this is soil with a high calcium carbonate content, often associated with dry, arid regions. And the characteristics of calcareous soil: they are highly alkaline and known to be well drained. They can limit the availability of certain nutrients like phosphorus, iron and manganese, making it difficult for some plants to thrive without supplementation. These definitions are based on the USDA soil taxonomy system and other international soil classification standards. Each soil type has its own set of advantages and challenges, and understanding them is essential for effective soil management in gardening. Once you've identified your soil type, you'll have a better idea of how to care for your own garden. Soil isn't just a uniform layer of dirt. There are actually different levels or horizons beneath the surface, each playing a role in plant growth. The very top layer is the O horizon, rich in organic material like decomposed leaves and roots. This is where much of the biological activity happens. The next level is called the A horizon or topsoil. It's below the O horizon. The topsoil is where most plants take root. It's nutrient rich and full of life. Next comes the B horizon or subsoil. This layer contains fewer nutrients, but can store water for deeper rooted plants. It's often denser than topsoil. And finally comes the sea horizon, the lowest layer, made of partially broken down rock, which over time contributes minerals to the layers above. When planting perennials or trees, understanding these layers can help you decide how deep to plant and whether your garden could benefit from additional organic material. So how does soil affect your plants throughout the year? Different soil types behave differently as the seasons change. Clay soil, for instance, in spring can be slow to warm up, delaying the growth of early plants. By summer, they retain moisture well, but after heavy rains, they may become waterlogged. In winter, clay tends to compact, making it hard for roots to breathe. Sandy soil warms up quickly in spring, which can give your plants an early start. But in summer, it will dry out fast, so regular watering is a must. It also doesn't compact in winter, but because it drains so quickly, plants may suffer from cold stress as the warmth escapes. Loamy soils offer a balance throughout the year. In spring they warm up nicely, in summer they retain enough moisture to keep plants hydrated, and during winter loam doesn't compact too much, allowing plants to overwinter more easily. Knowing your soil type can help you anticipate and adapt to these seasonal changes. Adding organic matter like compost can improve all soil types, whether you're looking to lighten clay or help sandy soils retain water. Soil testing kits are an essential tool for gardeners because they provide important information about the health and characteristics of your soil. Understanding your soil's composition and nutrient levels is critical for growing healthy plants, as different plants require different conditions. Here's a breakdown of how soil testing kits work and why they are so valuable for gardening. Most basic soil testing kits for gardening will measure the following: pH level, that's acidity or alkalinity. The pH level of your soil indicates whether it's acidic, a low pH, neutral, or alkaline, a high pH. Most plants prefer a neutral pH between 6 and 7, but some, like azaleas, thrive in more acidic conditions, while others, like lavender, prefer alkaline soil. Testing your soil's pH helps you determine if amendments are needed to adjust the pH, such as adding lime to raise it or sulfur to lower it. Nutrient levels. The most common nutrients tested are nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, collectively known as NPK. Nitrogen promotes leafy green growth, making it crucial for lawns and big leaf plants. Phosphorus supports strong root systems and flowering. Potassium improves plant health, disease resistance and overall growth. A soil test will show if your soil is deficient or excessive in any of these key nutrients, helping you adjust fertilization for optimal plant health. More advanced kits might test for secondary nutrients like calcium, magnesium and sulfur, as well as micronutrients such as iron, manganese and zinc. These are crucial for plant health but required in smaller amounts. There are different types of soil testing kits available for gardeners, ranging from basic DIY kits to professional laboratory analysis. DIY home testing kits are affordable and widely available at garden centres. They provide basic readings for pH and NPK levels, making them suitable for home gardeners. They often use test strips or colour changing reagents to indicate results. You can also get digital soil testers, and these are handheld devices that provide quick and easy readings of pH and moisture levels. They don't normally measure nutrients like NPK, but are convenient for frequent testing. And finally, there is professional lab testing. For more detailed results, you can send soil samples to a laboratory. Labs can test for pH, NPK, micronutrients, and organic content. This option is more expensive, but provides the most accurate and comprehensive information. Once you've tested your soil and have your results, you can adjust the soil based on its needs. If, for example, you have low pH or acidic soil, you can add lime, calcium carbonate, to raise the pH. If you have a high pH, like alkaline soil, you can add sulfur or organic materials like compost to lower the pH. If you're deficient in nutrients, you can use specific fertilizers to address deficiencies, like nitrogen-rich fertilizers for big leaves or phosphorus-rich fertilizers for stronger roots. And you can improve your soil structure by adding compost, manure or peat to sandy or clay-heavy soils to improve water retention, nutrient holding capacity and aeration. Throughout the year, your soil shifts and adapts, just like the plants growing above it. Understanding the type of soil you have and how it behaves during different seasons can make all the difference when it comes to a thriving garden. So next time you plant something new, take a moment to consider the life beneath your feet. Your plants and your soil will thank you. Well, that's it for today, and thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned something new about the fascinating world of soil. Be sure to subscribe for more gardening tips, and as always, keep growing.